Hi, I'm Dan Mangrew with your Newsmax TV Money Report. Today we have a special interview with an American success story, someone who used personal setbacks to become a multimillionaire. He's the author of the New York Times bestseller Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the upcoming book Conspiracy of the Rich, as well as 14 other books that have sold over 26 million copies worldwide, Mr. Robert Kiyosaki. Robert, it's a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Well, thank you. This was great. Thanks for interviewing me.
Now, you say that the middle class is disappearing. Well, where are they going? And what will happen to America if we don't have a middle class?
Well, the definition of a third world nation is a nation where there's only rich and then there's poor. And as long as we have a middle class, we're kind of an advanced nation. But the problem with the middle class is they're not moving from middle class up to rich. The middle class is now moving from middle class to poor. And most of them, we think of poor people as poor people or, living in bad neighborhoods and that kind of stereotyping. But in reality, the middle class that's moving to poor are the old guys of my age. Baby boomers who were prosperous during their working years, and now as they enter retirement, find out they got nothing to live on. 401ks are toast. And if you're trying to live on Social Security and Medicaid, you're poor. And so I'm afraid the middle class is splitting into either staying middle class, but most of them are now moving, a large segment is moving, becoming poor. And that's about 78 million guys my age, old guys, and we're in trouble, my generation.
So what can the middle class do to either stay middle class or to advance in the category of rich?
Well, to advance into the category of the rich, especially during this financial crisis, you'll have to stop thinking the way you think and start thinking differently and start doing things differently. I think what's wiping out my generation was that in 1974 there was a thing called the ERISA Act, E-R-I-S-A, Employee Retirement and Income Security Act. And anytime the government steps into something, you're in trouble. So when the government's trying to protect your income, a big problem. So ERISA eventually became known as a 401k. And what that did was the government plus the banking systems forced people, who had no idea about the stock market, who have no idea on investment, no financial education. I was in my 20s, and we're in our 20s and our 30s, and they started sucking cash out of our wallets once a month and dumping it into the stock market. Well, the rich get richer, but the middle class gets poor. And then the market shifts that fast, and suddenly, voila, like a poof, the magic act, the money disappears. And that's the game. And that's what's happening to my generation.
Now, one of the investments that you advocate is real estate. And with the residential real estate market looking like it's bottoming out, is real estate a good investment again?
Well, I have to understand, I like real estate for one reason, debt. If you are trying to use your money, your savings to get rich, put it in the stock market with a 1-to-1 lift ratio, in other words, you put in $1 and that's all you get. There's no leverage to the thing. So the reason I like real estate is because of debt. Now, if you're going to play the game of debt, boy, you've got to be a lot smarter than the average bear out there. So real estate is a good investment if you have financial training, financial education, and you have somebody guiding you and some experience in the whole thing. So I love real estate. I think the real estate market is going to get worse, which is good for me.
Now, these are tough economic times. Many are facing foreclosure, unemployment. Some even aren't able to put food on the table. What do you say to those folks?
I would change what you think. That's what I was trying to say. If you're expecting the economy to come back, I think you're dreamland. Man, you better start, that old Bob Dylan song, you better start swimming and you'll sink like a stone. This idea that U.S. is the greatest country on the earth and Obama's here to save you and the government's going to take care of you, that's called socialism. And I think you really better start changing your thinking because they're not going to save you, they're going to save themselves. So I got financially educated when I was a kid, and I don't expect anybody to take care of me. I don't turn my money over to a 401k. I don't trust mutual funds. I don't trust banks. I trust myself, but I have to, in that vein, I have to start getting educated and get smarter with my money. That's why I was mentioning the 401k. We've been trained like Pavlovian dogs to just turn our money over to Wall Street. I mean, and that's what many intellectuals think is a smart thing to do. To me, that's being a Pavlovian dog.
Now, in your book, The Conspiracy of the Rich, you speak about taxes being designed to keep people poor. What are your thoughts on all of the new government taxes we're seeing on the city, state, and federal level across the country?
Well, there's four things that keep the middle class poor. Number one is taxes, as you know. Number two is debt, and that's why they want you to buy a house, get in debt, use a credit card, buy a car on credit. I love debt, but I use debt to get rich. Okay. Three is inflation. And so, as you know, the price of oil last year was $140. Now it's about $70 a barrel. Inflation is going to keep going up because of it's all written in Conspiracy of the Rich. And fourth is your retirement plan. So if you're going to be financially intelligent, you've really got to know how to use taxes, debt, inflation, and retirement to make you rich. Unfortunately, taxes, debt, inflation, and retirement makes the middle class poor. If you have any financial intelligence, I can make millions and millions of dollars and pay zero in taxes legally. But you better know what you're doing, because I don't want to go to jail and be somebody's boyfriend there. You better do it legally. So when Obama says he's going to tax the rich, who he is taxing are high-income intellectuals like doctors, lawyers, and CEOs of companies. Entrepreneurs and investors, guys like me, who are not dependent upon a paycheck, we have more tax loopholes to get through than anybody possible. I make millions of dollars, but my effective tax rate's about 26%. That's really low considering some of my employees are in the 50% bracket, and they don't even make near what I make.
Now, you also bring up inflation, which is going to be a huge topic as the economy moves forward and rebounds out of recession. What can investors do to protect themselves from inflation?
Well, I think to protect yourself from inflation, you should do what the Chinese are doing. Because the U.S., Bernanke and those boys are printing trillions of dollars and not telling us about it. I think it was Bloomberg that just sued the Fed for you got to open up your books. They're printing all of this money. You should do what the Chinese are doing. The Chinese are buying commodities. They're buying copper, oil, gold, silver, land. They just did that huge Canadian tar sands deal up in Canada. So that's all I've ever done. If you look at my investment portfolio, I started investing in oil in 1966, real estate in 1973, and I have my own gold mine and my own silver mine. So if you're afraid of inflation, which you should be, I would think silver is the number one investment today. Silver is a smoking deal. And silver at about $15, $16, $20 an ounce, average Joe can do it. You just cut out your Starbucks for a while and go buy some silver. You're in the game. Silver is one of the biggest things against inflation you'll ever see. Great investment.
Are you personally buying silver?
Absolutely. I've been buying it for years, so I just love silver. But I was buying it at $3 an ounce. Today it's about $15. The reason I like silver is this. Number one, gold is hoarded. It's just stuffed away. It has no value to it. Silver is an industrial commodity. It means it's used in cell phones, cameras, computers. It's used everywhere. So that means today what's really interesting is that there is more gold on planet Earth than silver. It is fantastic. And back when, 1 year ago, I think silver was 50 times less expensive than gold. In other words, for 1 ounce of gold, I could buy 50 ounces of silver. Today, 1 ounce of gold will buy 70 ounces of silver, which means silver is a bargain today.
Now, with all the government expansion, inflation looming, taxes running higher, would you say Obama's running the country like a rich dad or a poor dad?
Obama? The guys who run the country, I write about this in a book called Conspiracy of the Rich. The people that run the country are Goldman Sachs. Come on, give me a break. And the guys that control Goldman Sachs. It's run by the international banking cartels of the world. The Federal Reserve Bank is not a bank. It is owned by the richest European and some Saudi money in the world. And the Federal Reserve Bank is the one that has caused this crisis. The Federal Reserve Bank was created in 1913. In 1944, there was a Bretton Woods Agreement. 1971, Nixon took the world off the gold standard. And after that, the Federal Reserve Bank controlled the world. And they could flood the world with fiat money. Currency that's paper. That's all it is. And throughout history, any time a nation has gone to fiat currency, in other words, government-sponsored money, the money has absolutely gone to zero. It has no value. So that's why you see gold fluctuating right now and silver fluctuating right now, oil fluctuating right now. It's because the world, the smart money knows the U.S. dollar is trash. I don't think Obama can do anything because he doesn't control the world. Goldman Sachs does.
Robert Kiyosaki, best-selling author, investor, motivational speaker, and inventor, author of the upcoming book, Conspiracy of the Rich. Robert, thank you so much for coming on the program today.
Thank you. This has been an interesting experience. Thank you.
Signing off.